Hello, and welcome to the Naftiko Capabilities podcast. My name is Ken Lane. I'm the Chief Community Officer here at Naftiko, but you might also know me as the API Evangelist. This is our podcast where we catch up with interesting folks to talk about interesting things when it comes to APIs and integration. Today, I have Jennifer Riggins. I recently sat down with Jennifer. She's an old friend, known her for years. She's been doing this as long as I've been doing API Evangelist. She's a freelance journalist, freelance writer, tech storyteller. She works with the New Stack and plenty of other folks. She hosts events, but she's my resident developer experience kind of platform expert that I like to check in from time to time. She's been on numerous podcasts with me, and I sat down with Jennifer to understand what's the state of developer experience today.
Always at top of mind and heart, I guess, is how it affects the developer experience. Because while AI is at an individual level really positively affecting it, it seems they're enjoying working with it. And it's allowing, and this whole idea that's great, that it's allowing people that are not technologists to create tech or participate in the creation of tech, I think is important in one way because, well, we've always been very gatekeepy and it is the future. And the future cannot be only created by white men or Southeast Asian men, which has always been the problem in tech and always been the problem, especially in open source. But allowing subject matter experts to create this, to create technology and participate in that creation is better for the users. It's better for everyone. Like nurses should be creating software if they want to, or at least spinning up prototypes of what they want. So what is actually created by the technologists is better, and we're then serving people that really matter, like nurses that take care of everyone and very underpaid. But I also, at top of mind or bottom of heart, I worry about what's happening with security, with guardrails, with best practices seem to be falling through the cracks. And it's just what did Dora call it? The 2025 Dora called AI an amplifier. So if you've got shit in, shit out situation with best practices, etc. But also, of course, those are solvable issues because platform engineering is the conduit for successful AI and those guardrails and the paths when you want to give a little more autonomy, but guardrails also work and sometimes gates are necessary. But then on the other side, I don't fully know what the problem is around employment. Like 900,000 young people in the UK, where I'm based, are unemployed right now, which is like the size of the third largest city in the UK. So that means people like 16, 18 to 30. That's a massive amount for a little country comparatively to the US. We know the US has a worse unemployment problem, and it's much easier to fire people. As I learned at the blog I've been writing for the longest time, just let go of pretty much all their entire staff. And we don't know why, because it's at will employment in the US. I'm grateful as a freelancer that gives me actually more security for now. So hopefully that continues. And I do believe in this idea you should hire the best person anywhere for the job, but there has to be jobs. And that kind of, to be a little Debbie Downer, that's what has me concerned right now, because I think everything else there are a lot of technical and socio-technical solutions to a lot of this. Like what we said with platform engineering is like proven now as the way of doing AI. So, and with platform engineering comes all the best practices we've always had: continuous testing, continuous integration, version control, DevOps, CI/CD. It can go on and on. We all know the best progressive delivery, everything. But what a turnaround it's been in the last couple of years. And I don't want to blame AI for this, actually. I think AI is just an excuse that we no longer care for our technologists and our tech creators. I don't know.
I agree. There's not a lot of care in the ecosystem and community when it comes to developer evangelism, developer experience, all the things I've been doing for 15 years. And so, Aster, does this mean there's a lot more precarity right now when it comes to being a developer in general, not just a developer experience?
If you get that little bit of notice, at least in Europe, they have to give you that notice and they have to give you right. But at will employment and the healthcare vibe, I had even lived in Europe so long I'd forgotten about that for my friends that were suddenly let go. It's LinkedIn's a bummer right now, and I'm not complaining about it. I'm glad people are talking about it. It's a mix of ICE raids because I forgot how many technologists I'm connected to live in specifically Minneapolis or Chicago, places like that are under siege, and people who were a couple years ago making baller money in tech and now homeless. Like,
Yeah.
need to, especially if we're going to use AI to replace parts of our jobs, we have to have a human safety net.
Really sums up what's going on right now. But I wanted to ask her, is she seeing any solidarity when it comes to, developers working together to kind of push back on this moment and what's going on?
I'm not sure what's going to happen. That's the thing. Everyone's adopting all this and producing more code because guess what? Writing code was never the bottleneck. We've been saying that for years, but let's help developers write code faster. It's good for some things like documentation. Like, what have we been 15 years knowing each other, Ken? And what is the number one thing developers have complained about, but not wanted to participate in the creation of docs? Do I still think we need docs writers in there to curate? Yes. But I think there are some that part of the documentation lifecycle that's improved. But I just think we're really behaving in a small-minded way about our code, about our technology, about our adoption of AI, and not people-centric. And what's the point? Like, who wants to? Personally, I've never wanted to run a business. That's why I'm self-employed. So I've not really empathized with that ability. I've never had the ability to manage people. But are people starting businesses just because they want to then eventually replace these humans? Where's the joy in your work?
I struggle with that every day, every week, every year that I've been doing this. And it's definitely getting harder. And I worry for people who are entering the space. And I asked her for her opinions on what does this mean for the junior developers?
Just like with developers, the baby developers that are just coming in and are these truly AI native, maybe they've joined in the last like 3 to 5 years, maybe even less. They don't really understand what they're talking about anyway, so they're trusting the AI. If you don't understand writing, or questionable because you wrote a book, but we'll figure out now if maybe you didn't write that book, uh, you aren't as good at it. So trusting, you still need to train the new people. There still needs to be young developers. I'm an advocate for junior developers. How else are we going to make senior developers? But I think it's just this whole idea of bringing the people that know the thing best into the conversation, which might be people that are not technical as well, but bringing them, pairing them with technology.
Yeah.
Maybe do a throuple, I like to say. Instead of pair programming, now we've got two people and an
Yeah.
AI.
Okay, I can support that. But what does it mean for the overall platform movement and what we've been doing with DevOps and platform ops and all these other operational level concerns?
Yeah, but also it doesn't work. AI is probably the worst thing to do it with because AI is, even Anderson, that giant venture capitalist, says that like we're changing from product-led growth to service-led growth because you need to customize everything for AI. The silos that persisted and DevOps was supposed to overtake, but DevOps only really focused on the ops. And then platform engineering was supposed to overtake that. But you can't we've learned the hard way, you can't put everybody under one platform. So it's not going to work as the only solution. because you can't just shove data science work in there. We learned that. I heard a wonderful talk years ago about how to adapt to agile for data scientists because it didn't always work. So that's just not how their work works. So you've got all this, and then what are we going to do? Like the silos are still there. The benefit of AI, of being able to be closer to the feedback loops, to be closer to what your customers really want. Everything comes on those integration at the API level of data. And we still don't have that down. So the idea of rolling out swarms of agents, first of all, I just talked to the CTO of ThoughtWorks last week, Rachel Laycock, and she was like, that's just not happening for enterprise. Same with, I wrote a book last year on an ebook, free, so you can have it, a playbook for AI for the enterprise. And it was sponsored by Intel and Red Hat, who target, not surprisingly, enterprises. And they're like, you can touch on agentic AI, and the best practices that help generative AI will help agentic AI, but enterprises aren't there yet. Maybe little tiny things that are not very exciting that probably could have automated. If one agent can do it, you probably could have been an automation instead of letting them act on their own. Keep it stricter and automate. But swarms of agentic AI is this thing that we keep hearing about. Whoa, it's not happening because the constructs that have kept, like, what is it, 70% of enterprises or Fortune 500 still in the mainframe?
Yeah.
We're not fixing the root cause. And then we're saying, it's okay, we don't need to fix the root cause because we'll just have self-contained thoughts doing it for us.
This is the intersection where I'm spending a lot of time, is that intersection of the legacy, the what's come before, the brownfield, and then what's, AI, what's new, what's exciting, what's greenfield. And I just wanted to understand a little bit more about how she sees this as, platforms collide with AI, what's going to come out of it.
I think it kind of makes sense, first of all, for platform and AI to go together because both of their goals were to eliminate the tedium of the work of the developers, or now it's expanding a bit to include other architects and other job roles. And so that makes sense to me. The AI needs some guardrails just like the humans do. And you want to make it easier to do the right thing because both of them can go off the golden path or the yellow brick road, I love as a euphemism. They can still wander off and get high in a poppy field or get snatched up by flying monkeys, which is not what you want them doing, distracted from their work. Their reason was to go to meet the wizard. He didn't do well, but that was their business. The business goal of the wizard was achieved. She's dead or not. That's fine. Yeah. But if it's a repetitive thing, if it's a rule of three, it should be automated. Should it be AI? I don't know, because it probably should just be automated then. But platform's just the easiest way to also bring, it comes back to the data. We're talking about APIs integrating system, but it's really about integrating data. That's what's interesting. That's the interesting value. We know, and saying it's new oil or whatever. That's what makes, it's not about AI. It's about the data that drives the AI and trains it. Otherwise, crap in, crap out. So the best way to do that and to do this translation of all the different departments in an organization, all the different technology, the mainframe and the cloud native, is through a platform, and to create this common language that, and this is where AI is interesting, that people can self-serve with a conversation overlay. So then when we have these conversations between the humans, it's more interesting. It helps inform, just like we were talking at the beginning about my ongoing conversation with AI about menopause. I'm not using AI to diagnose anything, but God, it's great at having an ongoing conversation with me and summarizing my thoughts when I have an 8-minute doctor's appointment. And it gives me good questions to ask. It helps me ask better questions. of the domain experts. I hope to God they are, that are the doctors. So it's the same thing where the platform is the enabler of that common language, that translation, that bringing together the different parts so you can have a more productive conversation.
Makes sense. That's kind of why I sat down with Jennifer to think about and understand and help me feel a little bit better about maybe how we're going to be using what we've already been building when it comes to all this platform work and investment, but how we're going to wisely apply our AI resources as part of this existing effort rather than tossing it away. But interesting stuff. Always love Jennifer's insight. Definitely going to be checking in with her regularly. Definitely makes me feel, I don't know, more hopeful for the human side of what's going on when I check in with her. She's a great storyteller, so definitely tune into her work. Appreciate her coming by. Appreciate you all tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thanks. Hey, while I got you, I wanted to check in again on my Naftiko signals work, where I'm up to, I think, about 284 companies now that I've profiled using their public signals, job postings, blog posts, press releases, GitHub repos. And I've harvested some pretty interesting signals around what technologies they're investing in, what services, tooling, and standards they're using and investing in, and sending these signals publicly. So some interesting data, working to kind of prepare it and kind of finalize that around 250 companies total. I think 229 is where I was at, but I got another 50 that I'm working on. And so, if you're interested, I'm going to be releasing it here towards the end of the month, end of March. And I'm looking for more folks to talk to validate some of the signals I'm seeing. So if you're working in the enterprise when it comes to APIs and integration, feel free to reach out. I would love to talk to you more. Easy to find on LinkedIn, on Blue Sky, and you can just email me at kinlane@naftiko.io. Appreciate it. See you next time.